Hello everyone, and today is a bit different because today I'm releasing my own Roblox Studio module called the Arcadia module. This module allows quick and easy operations for almost everything, and that's the goal at least. So today I will be going over the 1.0 release and its features. So let's get started. Alright, so after you bought the module, I'd recommend you put it in replicated storage so you can access it through the client and server. So let's start off with tweening, and this is probably the most simple one. So let's make 3 parts here. So let's do 1, we'll do 2, and then 3. And let's make these 2 half transparency and make this one green, and let's also anchor all of them as well. This all gives them a distinct name. So this will be the start, which I'll call A, the end, which I'll call B, and the green part, which I'll call main. So let's create a script in the workspace. And first we need to get the module. So let's do a require to the module. So say local module equals require game.replicate storage.arcadia module. Let's call our 3 parts here. So like I said, the first one we're going over is tweening. So let's first make a tween info. So we'll say local info equals. Then let's do a test that way so the game fully loads once we run the game. And we're going to do the module.tween. So this takes in the object that we want to tween. So we're going to say the main part, and we're going to do a goal. So this is how you usually create a tween. So you do table. Now we do the C frame is equal to the B part dot C frame. And then after that, we put in the tween info. So the info. And the weight is a boolean that if it's true, then it'll yield the script until the tween has been completed. So let's do true. And actually, let's do print tween successfully completed. So after 3 seconds, the tween will start, and then it'll print once the tween completed. So let's actually go to the output here and open it up. And actually, before doing this, let's actually set the main C frame to the A C frame so it has a starting point. Let's run the game here. About 3 seconds. There we go. And it said tween successfully completed right after the tween has finished. And we can do this with multiple tweens. So how about we add another part here? So let's just do clone B here and probably move it up and say this is part C. And let's also add it as a variable. So we'll say workspace.c. And we're going to do our module tween, our main, the C frame, and we're actually going to make this equal to the C.C frame, and our info, and we'll do true. So this will basically wait until this tween has been completed, and then it'll do this one. So let's run the game here, and let's watch this. So right there, and goes up flawlessly. Alright, the next one I'll be going over are Bezier curves. So they're basically just smooth curves. Now before doing this, we are still going to use our A, B, and C parts. So let's just spread those out. And for this main part, we're just going to say make it maybe 1 by 1. And we're going to remove all of this. And we're going to do module dot Bezier create. Here we have to take in our start position, a center position, and an end position. So our start is the A dot position, the center is the B dot position, and the end is the C dot position. Then this takes an object to clone and display the curve. So we're going to do our main object, and lerp points are the amount of points that are cloned from the object base part through the path. So if you want, say, a smoother path, you can do a high number, but it will affect performance. So how about we just say 10 for demonstration purposes and make sure everything's anchored. So if we run the game here, as you'll see, we have this very smooth curve that goes from the starting position, which we put as A, the center position, which is B, and the ending position, which is C. Now, what if you wanted to tween a part through this Bezier curve? So all we have to replace is the Bezier tween. And now, instead of cloning all the parts, it will actually take this part and it'll follow through that curve. So make a Bezier curve and assign an object to tween the curve through multiple lerp points. If you want a slower tween, then add more lerp points. So let's run the game here. And there we go. So if you wanted to be slower, again, add more lerp points and it'll go more smoothly. So go up and into that position. The next one I'll be going over are some player operations. So let's remove all this. So let's do game.players.player_added connect function, and let's add the player argument. And the first one we're going over is killing the player. So let's actually do player.character_add connect function, and let's pass in our character argument. So after, say, let's do a task.wait 5 seconds, we can actually kill the player quickly here. So we can do module.kill player, and it only takes in the character module. So we'll do character, and let's play the game here. And after about 5 seconds, we die, and the cycle continues. Alright, the next one I'll be going over is teleport to a position. So we're just going to keep everything as it is, except clear all that. And we're going to do teleport player, and we're going to put in the character model and the position you want the player to teleport to. So this will teleport a player, aka the character's model, to a position via position through vector 3. So how about I just want to say teleport to the B position. So let's do B.position. And let's play here. So after 5 seconds, I will teleport to the B part. And there we go. The next one I'll be going over is teleporting the player to a different game. So let's remove all this. And we can do task.wait 5, and we do the module.game teleport. So we put in the game ID. So it says quickly teleports a player's table through the corresponding game ID, which is the number. So before doing this, make sure you go to your game settings and go to security and make sure allow third-party teleports are enabled. So I already made a place here within the game, so we have this new place. And I already got the game ID here, so we'll put that in, and we'll do comma, space, and put a table with the player in it. So for demonstration purposes, just to show that this will work, I'm just gonna click play. And after about 5 seconds, we get this error because we're in studio right now, but this shows that it will work. So this is going to be helpful for quickly making a teleport without having to get the variable of teleport service. And the next one's pretty simple, so let's keep this blank for now. And going down here, we'll say the main.touch connect function, and we'll pass in the other part argument. So this next one will quickly determine if there's a humanoid within the touch. So all you have to do is make a variable for the humanoid. So say humanoid equals module.humanoid touch, and we just pass in the other part. So easily and quickly finds, then assigns a humanoid through the .touched event from another part. That's all you have to do. And then you just say your if humanoid, then print humanoid. Instead of having to do other part .parent find first child humanoid, you just have to do this. Let's go into the game here, and if we touch the main part, what we see in the output is humanoid. Now actually for the next one, this has to do with quickly loading in an animation through an ID. So we're actually going to add back our character added, say connect function, and then the character. So this takes in 3 things. So an animator, an animation ID, and a wait boolean. So like the tweening, it'll yield the script until the animation ends. So probably in the future, I'll just probably make this the character model, so it's easier to understand. But in order to find the animator, you just make an animator variable equals. So we'll put in our animator and our animation ID. So it's just a random animation I made. So put in your animation ID, and I'll do true, and let's just say print animation ended. So let's actually do a task.wait here just to give a cooldown here. So let's go into the game here. Then after about 5 seconds, there we go. So I just had a punch animation, and as soon as the animation ended, it said animation ended in the output. So this can be helpful in a lot of ways. Instead of having to create an animation object and then having to put in the animation ID for that object and then having to make an animation track for it and then having to play it. So this is a basic way of just doing that in one line here. Alright, the last one I'm going over is leader stats and data saving. So let's remove all this. That's for the last time. And we can actually just straight up make a leader stats from a function within the module. So we say local leader stats equals module dot create stats, and we put in the player. And in order to make a value within the leader stats, you local, you can name the value whatever you want. So I'll just say value1 equals module dot create stats value, and you put in your leader stats folder the value type. So creates a new value object that must match the instance.new value type and will automatically be parented to the leader stats. So I want this to be a number value, so you make sure you exactly say number value like that with the same capitals, and you can name this whatever you want. So I'll just call this num1. So let's go into the game here, and as you'll see, we have our number 1 value here. So this is easier than having to create the folder, parenting it to the player, and then naming it leader stats. And same for the value here. You just create what type of value you want, you name it, and then you just parent it in one line here. And again, we can do this for another value. So I'll just copy and paste this and say the value 2, and we'll say num2, and just hit play here. And there we go, we got num1 and num2. Alright, so let's go over data saving or data stores. So you have to create 3 variables here. So we first have to get data store service. So say local data store service equals game get service data store service. Then you create your own data store. So I'll just say local data store equals data store service get data store, and you call this whatever you want. So I'll just call this test store. And the last thing is a table, so just a blank table. So say local data equals blank table, so just nothing in there. So this will basically contain a table of all the players' data and values from the values you put. So next we're going to do module dot load stats because the player is joining the game. So this takes in the player and then the player data, which is the table there, and the data store. So that's the data store. And then afterwards is what data you want to load. So I want to load the value 1 and value 2. So we just say value 1 and value 2. Now you could do it like this, but there's an easier way. Because both of these are parented to the leader stats, we can actually get the descendants of that. So we say get descendants. So this will also grab the value 1 and value 2. So next, in order to save the player's data, you have to do in the players.player removing connect function, add the player, and we do module dot save stats. We put in the player, the data table, the data store, and the values you want to save. So we'll do the player and then dot leader stats, and we'll do get descendants, and that's all you have to do. Now actually before that, you have to go to your game settings and go to security and make sure enable studio access to API services is enabled. So let's go into the game here and let's change up these values here. So let's go into the game and let's go into our leader stats. How about we change number 2 to 99 and maybe say number 1 to 5. So here are my stats here. Let's leave the game, and upon playing the game again, these stats will save. So number 5 for number 1 and number 2 is 99. So this saves a lot of coding time for data stores. So all you have to do is put in the values you want to save, the data store you want to save these values to, table, and the player. And that's all the functions for my module currently. I'd like to hear you guys' feedback on how it is and some function suggestions. My personal opinions on the module are that it's amazing, especially the data store and leader stats functions. The module will be in the description, as well as a GitHub repository that contains info and updates of all of the versions. So I'll see you guys later.